Fire away. Okay.
Anyways, a little bit different. They've got a couple people back. Connecticut this time. Sanaya seems to be playing a good amount of minutes. How are they
Recording
different
in
from the rest of the
progress.
lineup?
Good player, man. She's good. A lot of teams looked at her, in the draft. So I think defensively she has a presence. She's able to get Marina off the ball, which gives her some time to rest. I think, or not just have to work so hard, and so then she can focus on scoring. So I think, and she's a really good passer. So really good player, and but I think just the added depth and versatility in the backcourt is probably what Sanaya is bringing to them.
Speaking of defensively, from your standpoint, a couple things that you got to make sure you take care of today.
Yeah, I mean, we were hurt on the offensive boards, and that's just something that we continue to try to hang our hat on improvement there. So, really, want to make sure that we're holding them to one shot. We are always mindful, Kareem, of trying to limit our turnovers to just give ourselves a fair chance. And then it's the Tina Marina show, and that's nothing's changed. They were wonderful the other night. They actually have played really well all season, and so and Marina was so efficient. So trying to make Tina and Marina work for their shots more than just having 8 for 11 shooting nights or God forbid 12 for 14 or whatever it is, but trying to make them work. Those are things that are top of mind right now.
Sort of last one. I wanted to ask about Sika. How is her kind of progression coming along? Her and kind of getting her into the rotation and finding a flow of how you want to use her.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, we have with Kiki, having a wonderful start, and Kira, man, she had some really good minutes, as she's kind of come back into the groove. So it's hard, and at the same time, Sika's her work ethic hasn't dipped. She's continuing to do what we ask. So I think it's some amount of time, but it's also just having a lot of good players in the front court and some depth there. So something that we have to work through. Something that I think she's thankfully being patient with. She's still young herself, and hopefully we'll kind of figure it out, but don't really have the answers right now as we're still trying to. Aaliyah's another one top of mind that is working back in, so it's a bit tight there.
Thank you.
Similar wavelength. Um, you know, broadening it a little bit. Sika, Emily, Lucy all seem to be players who, some games they check in really early, others they might not play.
Yeah.
How are you seeing them kind of handle the ups and downs that they're seeing in minutes and just kind of not as much routine?
I would tell you from my vantage point, please ask them. I want our players to speak for themselves. They've been really really good. Just from a standpoint of coming to practice every day and working their tails off, being good sisters to each other, like great teammates, trying to soak up more, being open to coaching. These are things that we ask of our players. Day in and day out, regardless of whether they're playing or not. And so I think that they all model that behavior. And so I would say that Emily, Lucy, and Sika are no different from their teammates in terms of being pros, and that's what you need to be to stick in this league because it can't be talent alone. I mean, it just can't. And so I appreciate and want to signal their habits. I'm glad you asked the question.
And then, we talked a little bit about the three big lineups yesterday. As you get more comfortable with that, do you have an idea of how many minutes you want to be able to go big, or is it more matchup dependent?
It is matchup dependent. I mean, having the versatility is a strength. Not necessarily knowing game in and game out puts a little bit of pressure or emphasis or some pressure on like a Sika or an Emily or and so that's where again their pro habits are kicking in and really showing themselves. I applaud them for that. But it is more of a matchup thing. Now that everybody's healthy, it's more of what the game is going to ask, and that's what we're doing right now.
Just one more from me. You know, you said a few games ago that your team was still trying to figure out what everybody could do individually late in games, as opposed to what you wanted to be able to do as a team. That was kind of the next level.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you're progressing in that now?
I like where we are. It does feel like a few years ago. I mean, it's this season is, it's throwing a lot at us and everybody else in the league. But yeah, no, I really do like the progress. I feel like we're being more mindful of who we want on the ball and who's going to get the most usage and and not having our defense wane in those moments. Just all kinds of things there that we can really articulate to our players and share some numbers with them as well, as we've kind of gotten to a point in the season where some of that's a little bit more valid than say 4 games in. So progress there, but we're going to be even more informed game 20 as we are right now, game 9 or game 10 today.
Keeping on the positional questions, Emily playing the three the last couple games, working her in. It feels like her skill set is really, uh, it fits her being able to play that role. How do you see Emily being able to work in as the three on this team?
One, it starts with the ability to do it, and she's going back to her days in college. I've always been a fan of hers. Like she's a very very skilled and cerebral player, and I just like those types of players. So just having the versatility to do all that is one. And then she's open. Not everybody wants to, just be open to stretching themselves a bit. And so, in having a conversation with her, she wants to be on the floor, and she wants to help this team. And I think she sees some growth, like just in her own career, to be able to have some of that versatility. So those are the two things: the versatility and the coachability are the things that have kind of put us where we are now, where she can play the wing, and she can play in the front court. And I'm excited to kind of see how that trends.
Having those multi-dimensional players that can play across different positions. In your scheme specifically, whether it's an offense or defense, how, I guess that's not the way I want to go with it. Can do roles change that much? Do you see how things like is a stark difference, or is it things just run the same? You're playing the same role. It's just now you're moved up slightly higher on the court. If you get what I'm asking.
Yeah, I would say here the game asks for us, the way that we play is to be able to play fast and to make good decisions at that pace, and to be able to pass, dribble, and shoot, and then to deal with all that is coming to us defensively. That's what the game is asking. That's how our system is built. And so, to the extent that we can move you to the three, say with Emily, and you can do that as well as you can do that at the four, there's minutes for you. So it's really not necessarily position based, but what the game is asking from those 5 spots. We would love to be able to pass, dribble, shoot, and make decisions at all 5 spots. We're not quite there yet, but that's what we're developing, and that's what I love about this organization. That there's a high priority in terms of development. And so we're talking about one example already, that Emily is being able to kind of grow in a way that maybe in a different system, if she was dead set locked into, oh, you're just a screener at the four and that's what you do and pick and pop and that's it, nothing wrong with that. We're looking to do a little bit more. And so players can grow, like Shug and Jade. We've talked about them, like they can play on the ball and off the ball, and defensively, how are we stretching them? So all of it to say is that it's more about what the game and the system is asking, and then trying to develop our players where they can give more in any kind of role or lineup, and see if we can flourish while we're trying to win games.
Quick follow up. You mentioned, showing the players some numbers. How much do you show them? Because obviously you think they're useful to an extent, but you don't
Yeah.
want to overwhelm them.
When we're making clear points that they all know and feel, I think that's the best time to share the numbers, because then it really stamps on it. So, we talked a decent amount about the efficiency that we want to have in transition, and we're talking about it, talking about, and then we spring a few numbers on them, and they're like, yeah, I see it. We talked about how vulnerable we have been early in the season in terms of our defensive rebounding and teams getting second chances. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Show them some numbers. Aha, that. So I think just using the numbers to kind of stamp what we're feeling, I think it's really, really effective. And so, yeah, those are pretty much where we're picking our spots to share that. And then as a coach, I'm probably a bit more steeped in it than them, but I just want them to have also clear minds when they're out there on the court, not overthinking. Thank you.